Hey everybody, welcome to You Have to Watch This podcast. I'm Alan.
I'm Ryan.
And I'm Devon.
And we are joined this week by a very special guest who's dear to my heart, my wife, Anna.
Hi, I'm Anna.
Welcome to the show.
Thanks.
The reason Anna's on the show is because she likes to chime in a lot. And I knew for this one she was going to chime in. And I was like, you know what? We're just going to give her a microphone and go with it.
Okay, but now exactly why, though, was she going to chime in on this a lot? Just so our listeners know.
We'll get into that.
Okay.
So today we're talking about The Shining, which is a film that I had never seen and Devon had never seen.
And I love.
And you love. And
Yes.
So, Anna, why are you here?
I used to love this movie when I was a kid.
Used to. We'll get into that.
We're all laughing nervously.
We can all tell.
Yeah, so Devon and I had never seen this, but Devon had seen the made-for-TV version, correct?
Yeah, I have, yeah. Really different.
Yeah, I could imagine. I just found it for free online, so I'm going to probably watch it in the next week. I didn't get a chance to watch it for this. But
Good luck. Yeah.
But Ryan, you've seen it before. When
Yeah.
was your first time seeing this movie?
I was in high school.
Okay.
And again, I tend to complain about how they put certain movies up on like network television, and how like that's how I'd first seen seen it, and that's how like I heard about this being broadcasted on network television. And this was one of those movies where my dad was like, "No, you're not watching this on network television." And we went out to the video rental store and we rented it and brought it back to the house and we watched it instead.
You can say Blockbuster because they're not
It
going to
wasn't
sue us.
It wasn't
Blockbuster. It was 48. It was 48-hour video.
My
The
point-
competitor to Blockbuster.
My point
account, we were
is
just
they're not
close-
around to
closer
sue
it.
you anymore, so...
Well, true, and I don't think they're around
Isn't
either.
there,
But
isn't
anyway,
there still one Blockbuster left?
There is one.
Yeah, and they
Yeah.
make all their money off of being the last Blockbuster. They have their own beer that they sell. That's called
What?
the last Blockbuster. Yeah.
I
need
should
to go
probably
here.
go
We
there.
do.
I've
Why are we not
never
going
been
here?
to one.
You've never been to a Blockbuster?
No, we didn't have
I've never-
Blockbuster in Shamokin. We had Nightcap Video West and East Coast Video,
See,
and my mom worked at them.
There's still
Yeah.
remains of the
Both
one
of them.
Blockbuster we had here in town by our grocery store because the drop box is still in the window. So every time I go by it, I just like, oh, lost to
I
time.
like this.
yeah,
This is funky.
Yeah.
yeah. But
Whose is this? Who's doing this?
Doing what?
Doing what?
The noise.
What noise?
Oh, I hear
I'm
it
hearing
too.
music. Are you guys hearing music?
I hear it now. I think
I
it's
don't
coming from
know.
you, though.
Yeah, it's not on our end.
Whatever it was, it's gone now.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's why I was dancing and said, wow, this conversation is funky.
Turn off the porn, Devon.
Never.
So so you saw it for the first time in high school.
yeah. So I saw it the first time in high school. I believe it was either sophomore or junior year. It was one of the two.
Okay.
This movie struck me
Yeah.
like heavily. Like I didn't really think of myself as like a horror fan at all, but yeah. So the four of us here, people are making hand gestures.
Yeah.
So yes. This movie punched me in the face, Devon.
Yeah.
Anyway, it really struck me when it came to just the visuals.
Yeah. Well, we'll get
At the first part of the film, but we'll get into
we'll
that.
get into that.
Still, yeah.
So,
it
Anna,
quickly became my favorite.
when was the first time you saw The Shining?
I was small. I want to say I was 9 years old, but
I
I
was
think I'm
but a
always
wee
9
lass.
years old.
Wow.
I was. My brother would always watch movies. He was living with us at the time, so I had to be like 8 or 9. I was a youngin', and he would just watch things, and I had to watch them with him. But I enjoyed that. So I don't remember if it was on TV or if it was on DVD, but I remember watching The Shining with him at like 10 o'clock at night and somehow not being scarred for life. I had nightmares, but I mean, I'm fine. Clearly,
Yeah.
well-adjusted person.
I mean, she married me, so she has to be.
Yeah, it's all good.
So, how long after watching The Shining did you read the book?
I didn't read the book till I was 12.
Okay. Ryan, have you read the book?
No.
And you're a big Stephen King guy, right?
I am, and then here's why I love movies from like a young age till now. It was, and I'll probably get into this in probably a different podcast a little bit more, but like I am heavily dyslexic.
Okay.
So reading was a struggle for me for a long time until about maybe, let's see, I'm 33, until about maybe like 12, 11 years ago is when I started actually being able to like pick up like a Stephen King book and actually read it. But that's one of the reasons why like I'm still catching up on a lot of these novels.
Okay. So with the dyslexia, if you sat down and read The Shining, you'd see Red Rum and just be like, why is he keep saying murder?
Yeah, because that's how it works.
That's how it works, Alan. Totally, that's how it works.
I know it's not how it works, but
I know it's a joke. But when no, but it is. I'm actually interested. It's in actually reading that one though.
Devon, have you read the book?
I have not read the book. I actually have something I need to get out of the way right now.
Okay.
I know I'm wrong. I know you're all going to hate me for this. I don't like Stephen King.
Okay.
I don't like most books that he's written. I don't think they're great. I don't like when he tries to direct things.
Well, nobody likes when he directs things.
Well, I haven't seen it, but I hear Maximum Overdrive is a classic.
Yeah, or The Langoliers. I heard that one's great.
They're remaking that, and it pisses me off. Yeah, they are.
What?
Everything Stephen King is coming back. So do you like The Shawshank Redemption and Green Mile, or?
See, I like when Stephen King is trying to be dramatic. I don't think he's clever when he's trying to be scary.
Okay.
So that kind of primed me to really like this movie because I heard he hated this movie. So I went into this movie going, "Oh, I'm gonna love this," because he doesn't like it, and because I saw his directed version of it on TV. So that's kind of where I'm coming at from this movie.
Did he direct the made-for-TV one?
He directed the made-for-TV movie.
Oh,
That's
wow.
why it's terrible. He's a terrible director.
Yeah.
I love
Oh, he's
Stephen King,
awful.
but he's a terrible director.
Well-
He doesn't even like his directing.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't seen anything he's actually directed. I haven't seen the made-for-TV one. I will say, this is the first Stephen King book that I've actually read, and by read I mean audiobook, but I'm counting it. And I really like the book, and I can see where he has issues with the movie because it does deviate a lot.
Interesting.
But as far as Stephen King goes, I like a lot of his drama stuff. I've only recently gotten into some of his horror stuff with It. I enjoyed that a lot. And the 90s It we talked about on here before. But I just like his whole world building, like how he pretty much has his own universe where everything happens, and I like that. And I really enjoyed Castle Rock on Hulu, which he didn't have much to do with, but it was a lot of his IP. So they make reference to that time the dog went crazy, or the time those kids found the body in the woods.
Interesting.
So it's a really good show set in Shawshank Redemption has a big part to do in the show. But I've really gotten into Stephen King in the last year and a half. And this Shining was the first book that I picked up and actually read and really enjoyed. Probably a little bit more than I enjoyed the movie. But we'll get into that. So where do we want to start? Do we want Ryan, are you a big Stanley Kubrick fan?
I am.
This is the second Stanley Kubrick movie we've done on this podcast. Mm-hmm. The first one that's actually going to be released. First one we did was Dr. Strangelove, or How I Learned to Stop Worrying and Learned to Love the Bomb.
Yes.
And that episode got lost.
Oh, no.
Half of it just disappeared from my computer. I don't know what happened. It just ended in mid-sentence, and
which I was very, very sad about because I actually really liked that podcast.
Yeah, it was a great show, and it's like, God damn it! So that's like part of the reason we went like 2 months without an episode, because we kept having those issues.
Yeah.
I guess we just can't do. No, never mind. I'm not going to go there. But so this is only the second Kubrick movie I've seen, because we talked about on the last episode that the Dr. Strangelove was the first Kubrick I've seen.
Yeah.
Devon, how many Stanley Kubrick movies have you seen?
I think this is my first one.
Okay.
Oh my God.
I know. I'm not great at movies.
Do you buy into the hype?
I mean, based on this one, yeah. Oh, I lied. I've seen Clockwork Orange.
Okay.
Oh, I love that movie.
I didn't know that was him, and I've seen Full Metal Jacket. So I've seen three now.
So this is your third.
Yeah.
All right. This is still my
Yeah.
second. So, how many Anna? How many Kubrick movies have you seen?
I didn't realize he did Full Metal Jacket. I've seen that. I've seen the 2001: A Space Odyssey. I've seen this, and I don't remember what the other one you just said was. No short-term memory. It's fun. Clockwork Orange. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Do you
love
buy into
that
the hype
one.
too?
Hmm?
Do you buy into the hype too?
I absolutely don't. He's an asshole. Oh, sorry, we don't curse on here, do we?
No, we can.
He's a
We can.
jerk.
Yeah.
Wait, he's an ass. Why is he a jerk?
He made Shelley Duvall have a nervous breakdown because of this movie.
Yeah.
Like he was just to get her to where she was, he was just horrible to her. Like
That's the same thing Alfred Hitchcock did, though. I mean,
no,
not that
Alfred
that's
Hitchcock
defending
doesn't
it,
have
but-
the same. Like he was abusive to her, like to where she needed therapy after this movie because of the way he was, and she stopped acting. for a
Yeah.
little
She was
while.
never right after this movie.
She never. Yeah.
He told every.
my
He.
gosh.
I was looking at IMDb. He told the crew not to like console her, like not to make her feel better because it's not going to help.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's-
no,
Yeah, it was bad.
that's something that I'm going to kind of get into
Yeah.
once we get to that.
Well, we're
point,
here now.
'cause-
Let's get
Yeah.
into it. So,
Okay.
yeah, like her performance, it definitely shows that she's being emotionally and maybe physically abused.
Well, when you get into that, though, that fits. I mean, again, well, okay. So before I start going off on it, well, not explaining
Yeah.
the way that I took the movie, I've never read the book, so
Right.
I have no idea how it changes in the storyline. I don't know about the characters and their relationship, but for the movie itself, without the acting that she had or the performance that she was doing, because it was supposed to be shown that she was being physically and emotionally abused by her husband, by Jack. So, I mean, to me, part of what gripped me about this film when I first saw it was her emotional acting
Mhm.
in it, and
But it
that's
wasn't
part of the reason
acting.
why it grabbed me. And then later I found out when watching documentaries and hearing people talk about it that's what that it was the fact that he pretty much just abused her emotionally. He would lock her in her
Mhm.
room,
Yeah.
no contact, food pretty much being just dumped off in front of the door, if not just opened up and dropped on the floor. She had no contact except for when they were filming.
Wow.
Yeah.
I had no idea.
As far as her storyline goes from the book, her storyline.
It's totally different.
The beats are the same, but yeah, it.
It was the director's choice to make her be that way, be abused, because that's not the character in the book
Yeah.
at all. So it was his decision to do that. But it was a great performance. It's just that you don't need to do that to get a great performance.
Yeah.
Lots of people have wonderful performances and they weren't abused
Yeah, no.
to get there. That's
Yeah,
there was
that's
no
true.
need for that.
Yeah.
That and then what he shot that blood take scene a ton. The crew hated him for that because they just kept
Yeah.
doing it over and over and
Well,
over
and
and over
the take
again.
where she's going up the stairs
Mhm.
holds the world record for the most takes on a film set.
Really?
For
Which was intentional.
170 some takes is what the
Holy
Guinness
cow.
World Record has. But I guess people have contested that because the DP said that's not accurate, but they hold the record, so somewhere's not right.
Yeah.
You got a motocross going on outside your place?
I live next to I swear to God, everybody outside my window is look how big of a penis I have every time they go past my apartment. I don't know what's going on.
I
Do they
mean-
whip it out that you can see them in the window, or are they just being obnoxious?
I'm
Because I
on the
feel like
fourth
they should
floor,
do
so they're,
both.
I feel like that makes Kevin Smith saying to anyone who visits Los Angeles when they go to Hollywood Babylon, he's like, "Welcome to Los Angeles. Put a dick in your mouth." That just makes it
Yeah.
there's
I mean,
it's just
easy
everywhere.
access.
It's easy access.
Everybody's paying tribute to
Harambe.
Harambe. Everybody's paying
Dicks
tribute
out
to
for Harambe.
Oh, I thought you were going Paul Walker with that one, and I was gonna go, oh,
No. I'll save that for a fiery episode.
good. But no, so I did have a question about the whole book versus movie thing. 'cause I
Okay.
know you guys read the book. Was Stanley Kubrick trying to shoot the book? Was Stanley Kubrick trying to make
No.
his own thing?
No, the book leans a lot into the hotel is haunted. There's a whole subplot that is cut from the movie where Jack finds a scrapbook in the basement full of newspaper articles that tell the history of the Overlook and different events that have happened, different ownerships, and like the weird history of the Overlook. And the scrapbook's in the movie because I saw it in the one scene.
Briefly in the movie.
Oh wow!
But it's like really fascinating and goes into like all the details of the Overlook and like
all the murders
and like mafia killings that happen there. And so the hotel is haunted in the book. Like that's like they're instead of the hedge mage, there's hedge animals that come to life and move. But in 1980 they couldn't really do it. Yeah. Well, I'm sure they did
they
a lot.
They couldn't in the TV movie either.
Yeah, I'm sure they couldn't do it in 1997 for Made for TV.
Wait, hold on. I have another really dumb question. Okay. In the book, did he chase everybody with an axe or with a Denver croquet mallet? This is really important.
The croquet mallet. It was a roque mallet.
It's a roque. Like they make a whole point about what roque is.
Yeah, versus croquet.
Yeah, they do it in the Made for TV movie too. They're like, "Let me tell you what roque is. This is everything about it." I'm like, I hate this. This is dumb.
Oh, they don't go super into it. They just make the distinction of like, roque is croquet is the poor man's roque.
Yeah.
Like that's the extent. It's not like they go into an in-depth history. They're just like being snobs about croquet versus roque, and then they move on from that.
Yeah. I'm trying to think.
All right, so that change didn't come out of nowhere then. Got it.
No, it did not. That's in the book.
Oh.
I don't know why you're groaning. Like
It makes a lot more sense in the book because he convinces himself that he didn't see it. Like
okay, because like I think if like Jack Nicholson's gonna threaten me with anything, I'm gonna feel more threatened with an axe than I am with like, hey, I'm gonna go play roque now. Like I don't know, it just axe just seems more scary.
I don't know if Jack Nicholson was a bit crazy and came after me with a roque mallet. I think I'd be more scared of that than I would an axe. Because he's lost it at that point.
Yeah.
He's lost it from day one. Let's be real. There was no character arc for him in the movie.
Let's talk about Jack a little bit. We talked about Wendy. Let's talk about Jack. So the main difference between Jack in the book and in the movie is in the book Jack's a character. Like he's a person. He's a person, and you see him descent into this madness or corruption, whatever it is that happens to him in the hotel. You see that progression, and he's fighting it. In the movie, he's like, "Here's Johnny." Like he's just batshit crazy from the get go.
See, I don't.
Well, and that's actually what I wanted to ask. Like,
he's an asshole from the get go.
He's an asshole,
which he's not in the book.
I'm sorry, Devon.
Yeah.
Sorry, that's what I wanted to ask. Is he crazy in the beginning, or is he just Jack Nicholson making Jack Nicholson faces?
Jack Nicholson act.
Good.
I think it's not that he's crazy the whole time, but he's an asshole the whole time. In the book, it's like, oh hey, he's a teacher who got fired for attacking a student which sounds terrible, but in the book, it's you feel for him, and. I'm not saying that. I did not say that.
No, you didn't.
But it's this guy trying to get his life back on track, who's sober, who's trying to do the best thing for him and his family, trying to write a play that he's actually working on. Like the whole all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy is not a thing in the book.
But it's such a great thing in the movie.
It really is, though.
But he's actually working on an actual play, and he the whole history of the Overlook thing plays into his next book. Like he wants to make that a book. But you can actually identify with this character. But in the movie, he's just a dick. Like I know they have that 1 month time jump, so there's probably a little bit of time in there where he does start to go a little crazy that they just don't show. But he's just not likable from the beginning.
Yeah, I mean, he's really not. Like, I didn't know if I was supposed to feel for him or be on his side, but I totally wasn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, in the book, in the beginning of the movie, they're having a good time at the hotel. Like, they're finally being a family again, and things are looking good, and he's spending time with Danny. Like, there is no him yelling at Wendy of, "This is my room, and if I'm in here, get the fuck out, because I'm riding." Like, that's a scene in the movie. That's not a scene in the book. That's not reality. He's trying to be with them. Everything's going well. And then as time progresses, it all goes to shit.
Yeah.
But
Oh, okay.
and the other characters actually have arcs. Danny's an actual character in the book with thoughts and feelings and emotions and everything. He's not just wheeling around on his tricycle, which I love. I love that shot. But he's not
Oh, I
just
love
wheeling
those
around
shots,
on the
yeah.
tricycle and seeing ghosts and catatonic the whole
Yeah.
time. He's a real person too. They're all people in the book, and in the movie they're just characters.
Yeah. Ryan, you have anything?
Well, I've never read the book.
Right, I know.
And one of the things that, when it comes to the difference between movies and books, and this is one of the things that whenever there is a movie that's based off a book, and I have actually read the book, I always separate the two.
Mhm.
Always. Because from the book standpoint, you can have every character have its own arc. You can have almost every character have, a great build-up when you have a movie. And this is one of the things that I like what Stanley can do. He focuses on one character and tells that one character's story amongst everything else going on.
Yeah.
And in the movie, he picked the mom to be that one person. Because the only person in that movie, like you said, Jack, he goes from being an asshole to going crazy. The son is just an 8-year-old that likes to stare off and who just likes to stare off at walls the entire film. The only other person that has an arc besides the mom is the what's his name? I forget.
The chef.
Halloran?
The chef.
Dick
Yeah.
Halloran.
They did him dirty.
Yeah, those are the only two that actually have an actual like storytelling for their character. He did extremely well at that.
Yeah.
Really, really, really well at that. Now his methods were atrocious
That's
for
what
doing
ruined
that.
the movie for me.
Yeah,
Not the book, but him.
yeah. But when it comes to Jack's character for the film, I like how they portray him as this guy's a rotten bastard and he's trying to do well because that's what everybody expects him to do. And the first moment he gets to like fall off the horse, he does. When it comes to drinking again.
See, I don't like that because he's just a bastard.
No,
like
I'm
that's
not-
not as interesting of a story as
True.
somebody trying and
But-
just
That would probably have added another 15-10 minutes on the
Right.
film. So, and it's already a long movie
Yeah.
to begin with. But just to set up what's going to happen, just as a piece to move the story along, I'm fine with Jack Nicholson being asshole Jack Nicholson and then crazy Jack Nicholson.
But you didn't need to add time to that. If you would have just had at the beginning of the movie him not to have the faces that he makes, which he doesn't have to make. If you watch One Flew Over a Cuckoo's Nest, he can act.
Right.
No, I know.
Yeah.
But like, if you don't have him making the faces and you don't have him screaming at Wendy and Danny in the beginning,
Yeah.
I'm okay
you
with
have
the-
that story arc all of a sudden.
No.
Like you didn't add
I'm
or
okay
take
with
away.
him being an
like,
asshole at the beginning, though, because the thing is, what I like is the underlining storyline amongst all that in the movie.
Mhm.
I don't know if it happens in the book or not, but the doctor comes in to see the kid, and she asks, how has he been hurt in the past? And she nervously goes over about how Jack
Right.
came home and dislocated his shoulder because he was drunk and angry.
Yeah.
Pretty much showing that, he abuses his family. And so that's where I like him just being an asshole and then going crazy.
And I think that's the biggest difference between the book and the movie is in the book, yeah, he hurt his arm,
yeah.
but that's the only time it's happened. Like they'd flat out tell you that's the only time anyone's ever been hurt.
Yeah.
In the movie, it's so ambiguous that you don't know.
How many times
Yeah.
he's done this.
Especially
Especially to her. Because,
Yeah, he's clearly
like,
abusing
throughout the
her.
movie,
Because
she acts
even in the
like
movie-
a nervous mouse.
even in the
around him.
movie, she says that this happened 3 months ago,
Yeah.
Yeah, they're
And
not
then-
consistent.
and then like when he's at the bar, he's like, "Here's to 5 months on the wagon."
Yeah.
Even though I hurt his arm 3 years ago, so the timeline doesn't match up at all.
Right.
So there's either a continuity issue or she's lying. and he's just abusive.
But she said it happened 4 months ago, and
Yeah.
then he says 3 years ago. So that makes it seem like it happened twice,
Yeah.
which could be.
Right.
So, which would definitely show one, there's abuse going on that even she doesn't know about, but that's one of the reasons why that I like what they did for the film.
Mhm.
And then when it comes to the kid, I feel like for the movie standpoint, if you're going to have a kid with that kind of ability,
Mhm.
the fact that he can like communicate mentally and he can
Mhm.
see things that not a lot of other people see, I mean, you're going to be a weird kid.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, yeah.
I mean, you're going to be a little off. Now, there's a lot of ways to do that. Stanley Kubrick is kind of best way to put this. You have people who are considered geniuses, who can't like who see one thing ahead of them,
Mhm.
and they can do that to a T, but to deviate from what they were originally thinking, they just can't do it. So
Mhm.
I feel like the reason why he made the kid what he was is I think he had an idea or maybe like a stereotype in his head, or maybe at some point during like a study at some point when he was younger, he ran into a few people who were traumatized when they were younger and they were just that way,
Mhm.
and maybe that's why he wrote him the way he did, when he's just quiet the entire time.
Well, I mean, I think my issue is just that the whole book is about his ability. Like,
Yeah.
that's why it's called The Shining,
Well, yeah.
because he
Right.
has the shine. And then the movie has nothing.
Well,
Like,
the movie
they have
has,
the 5 minutes in the beginning where he has the mental conversation with
Yeah.
Halloran, and then Halloran comes to the hotel.
Mhm.
But they don't, that's it. So I don't know what Dr. Sleep's going to be,
Yeah.
film-wise.
Yeah. We'll get into that later. I had a thought and I lost it. So I'll ask this to Devon. Since you've never read the book,
Yeah.
do you believe that the Overlook Hotel is haunted or not?
Oh boy.
Based on this
question.
movie.
See, my thoughts and feelings on this literally changed as I was watching the movie. Because at first I thought, okay, this is definitely haunted. Jack Nicholson's character is the one that's seeing all of these ghosts, and like the son kind of like smells like they described it as like the burnt toast. Like he can see like the after echoes of these things, and they're just like pictures, but Jack Nicholson's actually being haunted by these people. Then about halfway through the movie, I'm like, oh my god, no, because of The Shining. So that means that the little kid can see all of the ghosts, and also I'll bet you secretly Jack Nicholson has The Shining too, and that he's the one seeing all the ghosts. And then at the end, the freaking mom sees like the ghost dog like filleting the guy on the bed, and I went, well, there went all of my theory. So honestly, I think yes, I think the Overlook Hotel was haunted, and I think that they just got inside Jack Nicholson's head a little bit more, and also there were apparently ghosts with selective powers. Like, they could open some doors but not other doors, and like, we're just going to take that as movie magic.
All right, Ryan, same question. What do you think?
I think it all makes sense.
That's not an answer to the
No,
question.
it does.
That's not an answer. It's not
The
an
hotel
answer.
is haunted.
Okay.
The hotel is haunted. They set it up from the beginning. Jack goes to the interview. The guy says, great, hey, there are some things you need to know about. Some things happened. He talks about how one of the past people killed, like he killed his family and then eventually killed himself. And then they get to the hotel. The kid has the conversation with the head chef, and the head chef explains to the kid that, hey, my mom called it The Shining, and that's what you have. And then he explains that people give off energies, and so can objects can also have energies, and that hotel has energies. Has a pretty much. I mean, there were. He explains how there can be good and bad. And I believe that the hotel had a mixture of that from what they were talking about. There were really good energies coming from the hotel, but then also really bad. And the ones that were bad were pretty much evil. And that gets into pretty much. And I'm thinking Stanley took some of the stories from the book and incorporated them into the film for like the different things that like would happen. I'm going to assume like the woman in the tub, the twins. It's like I'm going to assume most of the ghosts came from the book.
The twins are not in the
Twins
book.
aren't in the book.
The twins aren't in the
The
book.
woman
These aren't in the
is.
book?
The
No,
twins
they're
are not in the book. There's a child in the playground outside,
Yeah.
but there are not twins.
Real quick, just because it's confusing me and I know it shouldn't be, don't call him Stanley because I'm just thinking
I keep
Stanley.
thinking Stanley.
Just call him
Whenever I try to say
Kubrick.
Kubrick, I feel like I'm going to stutter. That's why
Okay.
I'm saying
Okay.
SK. Can you call him SK?
The director.
The director.
Call him Stanley. Like that's fine. It's just, I had to throw it out there because I still have Stanley on the brain.
It's okay.
Excelsior.
When, but okay. So going through it, all of the different spirits that the kid sees.
Yeah.
I truly think that the energy in that hotel was just so strong that it falls into just a normal Hollywood storytelling haunting,
Yeah.
where anybody who goes into the hotel, the ghost can show themselves to because the emotion in the murders and how they died was just that strong that they have that type of energy. And the whole thing about the ghosts with selected powers, if you get into actual like ghost haunting lore and like all of that, and people who like go and they try to like hunt for this stuff, if you have somebody die horribly in a certain hotel room, they only haunt that hotel room usually. Like, so when it comes to being able to like, you know, open certain doors to like certain parts, like to me that totally makes sense. And with the mom eventually seeing like like that pig creature thing, which I
The
told
furry.
Yeah, the furry. That was definitely a sexual act
furry.
going on. There's no other way around that.
No.
But to me, it falls into just a classic haunting. Like, this hotel is cursed with all the crap that's happened there. It just
Plus-
so happened that but see, the thing is, and the reason why I think they got stirred up was because the kid was there.
Yeah.
And because of his psychic ability, it caused like a ripple in the hotel, and that's what fed everything.
Yeah.
And then the ghosts were trying to find, like, well, not all of them, but a few of them were trying to find someone that they could torment, and that was Jack. Because he was already tormented to begin with. He was already on the edge.
Yeah. I definitely agree that the hotel is haunted.
Interesting.
For all the reasons that you guys have said. I think Devon hit my theory the most from the book that Anna and I talked about a little bit before. Not on the podcast though. So, but you hit my theory pretty much dead on.
Yeah.
Stanley Kubrick, however, will say you are wrong. There is no supernatural aspect to this movie at all.
They went stir crazy. It's
Yeah.
a family slowly going mad together. That's what it's supposed to be. And that's what I got from it as a 9-year-old. Partly I got, oh, there's cool ghosts and I love this because I loved ghosts, but also I had my older brother explaining to me, well, you know, people go stir crazy when they go in the woods and that's what this movie's about. And I was like, oh, that makes sense. But also that's what Stanley Kubrick's intention was. But everything you guys said is right on for what was going on in the book.
Yeah.
Pretty much. There are a couple other.
But
yeah.
the movie does play as supernatural.
Stanley Kubrick might be a genius, but on this one, I'm going to throw out what he wanted to do and replace
Yeah.
it with
Yeah.
my own.
I mean,
belief system
it works
for
from
what
both-
it was
He's
supposed to be.
He's not a genius.
I mean, in parts it works, but there was one moment where we talked about during the movie that you had me pause. You want to talk about that a little bit?
I didn't have you pause that part.
You paused it.
The part that couldn't be explained by
Yeah.
Stir Crazy was the when they let him out of the freezer or the cooler or pantry.
Yeah.
That was the part that you couldn't explain. I didn't have you pause
Okay.
that part.
That's the
I had you
part.
pause a different part because I was commenting on something. I don't remember what.
And I think you have to have a little bit of a supernatural thing going on in there if you're going to throw in the line about, oh yeah, this was built on top of an ancient Indian burial ground.
Well, it was all
Yeah.
about the genocide. If you believe the documentary they put out.
What? It's about
There's
genocide?
a documentary that goes into all the like million theories about it. One of the theories is that Stanley Kubrick made this movie because he felt so guilty about faking the moon landing.
What?
Yeah, that's one of the theories.
Devin, don't ask.
go in that. Don't go
ask.
down that
Oh
rabbit
no, we're
hole.
going
don't
down
want
this
me to
rabbit
go
hole.
off
No, we're
Okay,
not.
well, no, we are. We
No,
are.
we're not.
Stanley
No, we're not.
Kubrick did film the moon landing. That happened, okay?
I
But
will
no.
hurt you.
Let
Alan.
me finish. He was such a perfectionist, they had to shoot it on the moon.
Oh my gosh.
No.
Oh my God.
No.
Anyway, everybody knows it was Steven
Surpassing.
Spielberg. It was not Stanley Kubrick, so that theory goes out the window.
Well, then
but-
why is Danny wearing an Apollo 11 sweater that was poorly knitted for him by
Because
I'm guessing,
somebody
his
made
blind
him.
aunt?
Checkmate.
So, Devin, about The Shining, how'd you feel about that?
Oh my gosh. So wait, so if we're like on theories, can I like throw out a theory that I heard last night that I think is really interesting?
Go for it.
Yeah.
So one of the theories that I heard last night was that the hotel wasn't haunted. It wasn't a family going mad together. All of it was Danny trying to kill his abusive father and him using his psychic abilities to set up all of these traps for his dad to put him in situations where he's going to end up killing himself, but not making it look like he's killing himself. I thought that was super interesting. I don't know how much I feel about it. I want to watch it
I
again.
think for the movie that might work.
For the movie, it works really well, but I really hate it for the book because they really love
really?
each other in the book.
Yeah, in the book they really do have
That's
a
a
great
really
relationship.
heartbreaking thought for the book perspective, but from the movie perspective, I love
Like-
that theory.
Like the whole thing,
It's
like
interesting.
that scene with Jack and Danny in the apartment where he's like, "Come over here, son," and puts him on his lap. Like in the book, that would be completely heartfelt and like straightforward. But in the movie, it's kind of creepy because he's like,
He's forcing
he's
it.
Jack Nicholson.
Right.
So-
Well, I mean, in the movie, like that scene, like you can almost tell that Danny's like getting these weird psychic vibes from him. Like, do you like this place, Dad? Because he like feels or like knows something about what's gonna happen, and is just trying to ask his dad in the most benign way possible about like, hey, I'm trying to get you out of this, or I'm trying to like, you know what I mean? I'm trying to like set you up for this shit.
Right. In
Yeah.
the book, he's trying to save his dad.
Uh,
He's trying to save his
that's
mom and
interesting.
dad in the book.
Yeah.
Whereas in the movie,
We keep talking about the book
because
a
of
lot.
Tony. I know, and
I
I'm trying
can't-
not to
yeah.
because I love this movie. I love all the hotel is so great. It's
Yeah.
visually stunning.
Okay.
The twins are so creepy.
I have a question.
Yes.
Okay, so let's get this thing back onto the movie then.
Okay.
And I know how to do that.
Mhm.
Devin, I'm going to start with you. The
Okay.
opening part of the film, okay, from when they start showing the family out in Denver to
Yes.
where, let's say, their first night they're alone, which part was your favorite sequence for the film? When it comes to shots, because this film for me was the first time that I really looked at like camera angle, shot length, time, just like the long
Yeah.
shots. What sequence was your favorite at the start of the film?
It's split between two. The first one is when he's driving that car through the mountains during like the opening credit sequence. At one point, you can see that they're using like almost like a Dutch angle, and they like tilt the whole mountain, and you can see him like driving like by this tilted mountain, which I think is really cool because it adds a sense of like creepiness. Like, because usually like it was nothing but glamour shots in the beginning, where
Yeah.
like this is most idyllic, beautiful vista, but they have this really creepy music over it, and it's at like that point that the visual matches the creepy music in the background. So
Yeah.
that was one, and then my other one was the long shot of him walking through the hotel into the manager's office. I just thought that was a really good long shot. Like, and I think that those are probably my two favorite.
Yeah, my favorite, you hit on mine with the car driving the Dutch angle. Like I really like that. I did not like the Windows Movie Maker credits that just scroll up from the bottom of the screen. Like, that was very jarring for like one of the greatest films of all time.
Yeah.
Like
The 80s.
like it was like, oh, okay, we're gonna go that way. Got it. Okay. We spent all of our budget on the elevator blood scene. We're just gonna have to throw some credits in here somehow.
Yeah.
Right.
So
Anna?
Mine, my favorite shot is when they get to the hotel and Danny's alone. And he goes down the hallway and he sees the two little girls in the hallway, and then the hallway flashes to the little girls being murdered, and there's just blood everywhere, and whatever it was that was used to kill them, and then it goes back like the back and forth of that. That's my favorite. I'm not right in the head, but I love that shot. It's a great shot.
I mean, the interiors of this hotel are all a studio in London that burnt down after the fact that they filmed this movie,
I'm not surprised.
and then they
Really?
yeah, the where he was the Colorado room where he was writing burnt down, and then they rebuilt the set area, and it was used for the Tomb of Snakes in Raiders of the Lost Ark.
What?
Yeah,
That's
Yeah.
amazing.
yeah,
Yeah.
a little bit
Whoa.
of trivia for you.
So now, when it comes to the start, I really like the Dutch angle. when it comes to the car scene, and I like it when he was walking through the hotel. To see the manager, but my favorite sequence actually is when they're in the car, driving to the hotel, because I love the uncomfortableness from the family, because you've got the mom, the wife, trying to like talk it up, and Jack is just stone quiet. Like he's he's doing this because he has to do this. He's not doing it because he thinks it's a good idea. He's not doing it because he thinks that it's the right thing to do. He's doing it because he made a promise to his wife, and that's why he's doing it. And just the uncomfortableness in the car to me is kind of like, oh, this beautiful scenery, and they're driving up, and then they go into the car, and it's like, this is what's to come. Like it's kind of like foreshadowing in that one scene what the middle part of the movie is.
Yeah.
I have a weird question. How did you guys feel about the sound design in this movie? Because at first I was like, whoa, sound guy, back off. Because it was nothing but like dissonant chord. And then there was that scene where he's writing and he stops writing and rips the paper off and it stops. And I went, oh, this guy might be a genius and I might be an idiot. Like, what did you guys think about that?
Are you talking sound design or the score?
Probably a mix of both.
Okay. I really like the sound design. The one scene where I really noticed it was when Danny's riding his tricycle through the hotel, and like you see him go over the carpets and on the hardwood, and you could just really feel the difference.
The dunk.
Yeah.
The dunk. Yeah.
I love it.
I really like that. I picked up on that. The score is a little bit much for me in spots, because like this, like nowadays it's like this movie's 30-some years old. It just doesn't. It's jarring, but I think for the time it would have been like if I had seen this in theaters, it would have worked a lot better for me. But like nowadays, watching it on Netflix, it's just like, But
yeah.
Bless you.
Bless you.
I'll sync that up.
Okay.
So I do like, yeah, that's what I noticed sound wise.
Mine is the when Jack's throwing the ball
Okay.
in the halls.
I like that too.
You
I
just get
didn't
the
like that.
dunk, and that goes to where I think Stanley was trying to show that it was just the void in the hotel and just being alone, and then going to
just
stir
stir
crazy,
crazy.
just like that one sound over and over and over again. Because I mean, it's what you do when you're bored. You know,
Yeah.
You find something to physically do to just entertain yourself, and that, I mean, it's just repetitive.
Can we talk about the fact that Jack Torrance is hired as the caretaker for this hotel, and they don't show him do anything to take care of the hotel once?
No, his wife does.
Yeah,
Well-
they show his wife at the boilers, and that's it.
Well, here's the thing about that. This movie was made in the early 70s.
No,
right?
late,
Mid-70s?
it came out.
80.
It came out in
80?
1980. It came out 1 week before Empire Strikes Back.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so nowadays, and you'll find this, people really don't know how to do just normal maintenance when it comes to their homes or other things, because it's gotten to the point where it's like you can just go and call a handyman or go to, or just do. There's a lot of stuff that a lot of people knew how to do in that generation that we don't know now, and a lot of it's just handyman type stuff. And if you're taking care of a hotel, now granted, one person taking care of that big of a hotel for a winter, first off, that's suspicious. But when it comes to the type of things you would have to do, I mean, any major repairs, they would wait until the end of the winter anyway. But when it comes to like, okay, so this window broke and, a room had a window blowout. Okay, so you've got to know how to replace a window. I mean, if you have somebody who knows minor maintenance for a building, they would hire them for it. So to me, the fact how old Jack is, the time frame when this movie was made, and they even say that he was a teacher
Right.
in inside the movie. It wouldn't be too far of a stretch for me to see that maybe, he might be a teacher. He's an asshole, but he also might be able to, remodel his own kitchen. I mean,
I think it's not that we don't think he can do it. It's that he doesn't at all.
Yeah.
Like, all he's doing is writing. He's supposed to be caretaking the place, making sure the wings are heated so the pipes don't freeze, and the only person that does that is Wendy.
I don't.
Like, he doesn't even shingle the roof.
Yeah.
Like,
So, like, what's all this work that's making him a dull
he's
boy?
doing nothing. He's just sitting, throwing a ball against a wall for 8 hours at a time, and then typing a bunch of stuff on the typewriter. He's not doing any maintenance, that man. Like,
Except for, like, let's say, cleaning up after themselves and lighting the boilers right. I mean, you might go 3 or 4 days before something goes wrong to where you have to fix it.
Yeah, but the point,
But that was
the
what he
point
had to
we're
do.
getting at is they don't show him do anything at all.
yeah.
And I'm fine with that.
Right.
I mean, yeah, they don't
I want
have
to see him
to.
do something.
Yeah, show him do something though. Like,
so he's not just a lazy bastard being like, I'll be your caretaker, and then Wendy, go take care of this hotel I'm getting paid for. Like,
Okay, so I think it just hit me. The fact that you say that Kubrick said that this movie is just them going stir crazy.
mhm.
Now I got how he was trying to show that.
Oh yeah, I get that.
By just showing just nothing. Like dead silence. Just the work on the sound. Just like you guys were
Yeah.
talking about with
Mhm.
is with the trike going over that like hardwood and carpet. And the reason why it's that loud is because there's no other sounds inside the entire
Yeah.
hotel.
hmm
So it would be really loud.
and that's why she can hear him like groaning in his sleep when she's down in like where is she? The kitchen.
Yeah,
She's like on the other side of the
kitchen.
hotel, and she can hear him like.
Well, and they had the dumb reader too,
Yeah.
so she could hear through that.
Yeah,
But-
so
Right.
I mean, when you've got the type of stuff that you would do for maintenance work, besides just the writing, I mean, it would be lighting the boilers, opening and closing doors, maybe just walking into the rooms to make sure that like no pipes have busted.
Mhm.
I mean, you're talking about still mindless stuff.
Right.
Maybe having a scene with him like opening one door, then closing it, and then opening another door.
Yeah, that
then
would have
closing
made,
it,
like,
and then
highlighted
maybe
the-
have maybe like 20 seconds of just doors opening and closing, opening.
That
and
would have
closing,
added
opening and
to it.
closing. That would have added to it,
Yeah.
and probably driven the whole like these people are just going crazy
Yeah.
Yeah.
type. But that's one of the reasons why I'm not too
Sold on that
upset
theory.
about them not
I
showing. him
wonder
doing
how much
anything.
of that was shot though, because
Yeah.
the fact that the scrapbook is on the table when he's typing,
Yeah, he found it.
he found it. So there is more of him like exploring this hotel.
They cut a lot from the movie
so
too.
I'm sure they shot him doing stuff and they just didn't use it.
Yeah.
What else do we want to hit on?
I want to talk about Holleran's room.
Oh, you want
Like,
to talk
we're
about
all
Holler-
talking about
Okay.
everyone's favorite shots. Who didn't love the shot, like, of him laying in bed and then it slowly panning out to just like the naked woman poster behind his bed? I love that shot.
That is why your
That
dad
was
would
one
not
of my
let you watch
favorite
it on
shots.
network
Like,
television.
did no
It
one else
wouldn't have
notice?
been
Like,
on
it was
network
great.
television.
That scene?
They would have been
wouldn't
blurred
been on
out.
network
Yeah, that's
television.
why
They
your
would've just
dad wouldn't
blurred
let
it.
you watch it
No.
there. He's like, I'm going to show them this.
It would have been like 4 hours on network television. That's why he didn't have you watch it.
Well, my favorite scene for the entire film, like for the entire movie, if I had to pick one scene that I absolutely love, it's when he first walks up to the bar
Oh yeah,
and talks to the bartender
Lloyd.
for the first time. That is my favorite scene because
Yeah.
it has him walking through that hallway, which is I mean, it's beautifully uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Is the best way to put it. And then he walks into the ballroom, and you got those ugly ass carpets
I love the carpets.
for the time. Okay. Here for the time period. Okay.
Yeah.
For the time period, that was like the thing to have. But if I were to walk into a hotel that big, be like, oh my god, this is so cool. I'd look at the carpet and go, really, really.
It's a good thing.
But-
Good thing you were at the hotel. We got married, had our wedding party stayed
That
at.
hotel was tacky.
But that scene where he goes in and he talks to the bartender for the first time. For the longest time, my original theory was that bartender was like the core of all of the crap that was going on in the hotel,
Mhm.
and that was Satan. for the longest time when I was younger, that's seriously what I thought the whole thing was.
He kind of is, though. Like, he kind of is the mouthpiece of the hotel.
Yeah.
And what's funny is the scenes with him at the bar and all of that are more or less ripped straight from the book. Like the dialogue
They're my
is
favorite
exactly
scenes of the
the
book.
same as the book, which is weird
even, like,
because that
Even like sound design wise, like the guy has that weird reverb on his voice.
yeah. No, I really like how they executed that scene with in the bar, like you were talking about, because he's just talking to himself, and then all of a sudden it cuts back and shows you the bartender with the full bar behind it. Like, for me, that was the creepiest transition in this whole movie.
Yeah.
Because I knew it was coming, but it was still like the way they presented it, because it's just on Jack for so long, and then it cuts to the bartender being there.
Yeah.
So,
and part of, I mean, granted, I know that it's supposed to be, I know it's supposed to be that that's all in his head, but I still like the idea of it being a haunting, and because I love the idea of him actually drinking alcohol instead of thinking he's drinking alcohol. Because if he's truly an alcoholic, I don't care if you're going stir crazy or not. I mean, if he's pretending to drink alcohol, now granted, I know the human body and brain can make you believe and do things that are like crazy, but I like the idea better that the hotel made him fall off the wagon. And that's what, was part of the beginning of him eventually like trying to kill his family.
yeah. But see, for me, like the whole ballroom stuff is where it comes into this place is haunted. Like he's being haunted by something in this hotel. Like that's for me, that's the concrete of I don't know what Kubrick's talking about. There's no way there's no supernatural aspect of it.
People.
Yeah. Which, if he's hallucinating the people, I can go with that. It just I love the idea of it being a haunting more than what he originally wanted this movie.
That's where you should read the book. I really think you should read the book. They're totally different things, and I have so much love for them both. But I feel like you should read the book.
Okay.
And the book on Audible is read by.
I'd rather just read it.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
He's the VP on the last season of House of Cards.
Okay.
So.
Oh.
Yeah.
I like that.
Not read by Stephen King.
That's okay.
And he's also the dad in the Amazing Spider-Man movies. Like he's Peter Parker's dad, which is weird.
Couldn't get into the audiobook
Speaking,
of it.
huh? Totally. I wanted to say something, and I totally started the sentence wrong, so I've got to stop and pause. What? So we went over our best scenes, or our favorite scenes. What in this movie did you just were like no? Like something that you just couldn't stand, or it was just too jarring, or you felt like it was a waste of time, or you feel that there was just something wrong that just definitely could have been better? That's
a good question.
Personally, the one thing I would change, and this is minor, in the very beginning when Danny's brushing his teeth and gets the flashes of the hotel and he sees the blood come down for the first time, and then it cuts to the twins. I think if you made that cut to the twins shorter, like only a few frames, like you don't know if you saw it or not, I think it would have been a lot more effective. Like, what the hell? Like, what was that about? I think it's just they're too long. So I think if you cut that down and then he sees them in the hotel later, like for real, I think that would make it a lot creepier.
That's a very modern perspective, though, because like now we're used to the jump cuts where you have the flash and you're like, oh, but back then that wasn't really...
And I'm sure there's limitations that...
Sorry.
Like me editing in Premiere is probably different than them editing film. But
with a razor blade
and
a
magnifying glass.
Yeah, and a magnifying glass.
But no, that's the one thing that I saw that was... Okay. And like story-wise, I think the way they handled Tony could have been handled better. We'll get into that. So, everyone else can give their answers before we get into Tony.
So I mean, this might be along the same lines as you, Alan, but I think probably my least favorite thing is I think just a modern thing is I don't love fades like between like shots.
Yeah.
And they did that kind of a lot in the beginning where it was like Jack Nicholson just going and then like it would slowly like fade into like something else happening and I'm like, I don't love this.
God, we need to make this a visual medium somehow.
We do.
But I think that's just a modern thing. I think that modern eyes aren't used to that fade, and I thought that it was bad. But I think I agree with you with the Tony thing, because I think what I had read afterwards, because I like wanted to know all about this movie afterwards, is I think I got a better explanation of what Tony is based in the book. But like in the movie, you almost just have to take him at face value as Tony being this guy that lives in his mouth. And like I know we're gonna get that later, so I like don't want to like push it, but that's my story thing.
Okay. What do you think?
I also didn't like that Tony is the guy that lives in my mouth. That was I don't know why that was the explanation for Tony, but I didn't like, and it's the thing common with all movies is all the shots showing the cook go to the hotel where they show a shot of the plane taking off and they show a shot of it. Like, I don't need all that. And I know in old movies they did that all the time, like where if somebody said they were going somewhere, they would show them getting into the car and then they'd show the car ride and then they would show them arriving because people couldn't figure, oh, well, how did they get here now? Like, I get that that's why. But like that wasted time. Like I didn't need to see all these shots of his traveling adventure since nothing even happened. It's not like, oh, he got, the plane went down or, oh, there was an avalanche. It's just, yep, this is his journey.
Yeah, like
really boring.
That whole journey is
unnecessary
in the movie, but in the book there's actually
in the book there's reasons for it, but I'm not talking about the book. I'm talking about in the movie. I didn't need to see the plane and like the train and the automobile.
But at the same time, if he just showed up at the end, it'd be like, what the hell is this guy doing back here?
Yeah, but you show him calling the place and then you show him making like the plans for the guy to pick him up and then he gets there. Like you can follow that logically.
All you need
this
to
is how he's here.
He calls, he grabs his keys, walks out the door.
Yeah,
that's all you need.
That's all you know, and then he gets there. I know how he got there. I can assume it was
I will
journey.
say,
like,
I love the shot of the plane landing at the airport with all the snow. Because it's not something you see all the time.
Right.
Because planes don't usually land when there's that much snow on the ground. And it was just very jarring because it was all white and...
Yeah,
I really like
that
nice.
Shot. It's just that there were too many shots of just him traveling, and you didn't need it. Like we knew he was going to the hotel. We see him arrive at the hotel. Yeah, you can even leave the snow landing. It was just too much, and it wasted time. Like this movie is very long. I don't know how I had the patience for it at 9 years old. Because at my age, I'm like, okay, but get a move on. Like it's visually stunning, but get a move on at certain times. And that was one of the times where I'm like, can we get the ball rolling? Like, I know he's going there. You don't need to show me every step of the way.
Gotcha.
Like, I might be the only one on that, but like...
Ryan, what about you?
Okay, so I had it when I asked this question.
Yeah.
And now I've lost it. But
no.
it when it comes to his movies, he does a lot of long shots. And I kind of like that depending on the feel. But for this movie, there were just one too many scenes where I feel like instead of watching a character walk all the way down the hallway, it could have been like, take maybe like 5, 6, 7 steps and then cut to like where the camera's in front of them and then they make the turn. There's a lot of times in this movie that I feel like the long shot wasn't needed. Yeah. Like I like the long shots, like the long shots walking in front of the hotel. Mm-hmm. The kid riding his 3-wheel. Yeah. There are certain times it works perfect.
The use of Steadicam in this is fantastic.
Yeah, but then there were just other times where it's like, I get it. Yeah. I get it. They're walking. They're walking.
There was a lot of I'm bored now, and I get part of that was to build suspense and part of it to build their boredom. But it's like, but we don't need this. Move on.
Yeah,
like, there's a better way to shoot this.
Okay, so do we want to talk about Tony now?
Yes,
go
please.
ahead.
Okay. So Devon did some research online yesterday. We've read the book.
I have done no research.
Okay,
so what do you think about Tony?
What do you think Tony is?
I feel like Tony is Danny's interpretation of his Shining.
Okay.
I feel like Tony is now again not
That's actually
knowing,
really close.
Yeah.
not not doing any research on it, not
Yeah.
knowing his thing. I feel like because Danny doesn't understand what he has, and he doesn't grasp it fully. He has given this thing that he can do a name, and so instead of it just like him, just like having that inner monologue in his head, he speaks it out and talks to his finger because that's just what.
Well, real quick, the
Yeah.
finger thing was improvised by the kid. Like that's not in the
Really?
book. The kid came up
Oh
with
no
that.
way!
And it makes
That was really
it
great.
makes it a lot better for the film because, like in the book, it's more of he sees him in like a dream state, so it makes more sense to have that visual aspect of it instead of cutting.
How's he described in the book?
He's not
He's not described
until the very end.
What does Tony look like?
Well, hold on before we get into that.
I don't even know if we want to tell Ryan who Tony
Okay,
is.
yeah. Devin,
If you don't know it.
what's your interpretation of Tony based on the film? What was like watching it without your research?
Yeah, so honestly, throughout the whole film is the same thing where I had like 8 different ideas of what Tony was throughout the whole movie, and then ended on, I guess he's just some guy in his mouth. Okay. But I mean, it started as me going, okay, so like this guy's possessed because he talked about how like whenever Tony talks, he goes to sleep, or it feels like he's asleep, and Tony shows him things, and Tony's also controlling his body. I'm like, he has to be possessed by something. But then they explain The Shining, and then I was like super on Ryan's boat, where I'm like, okay, it's The Shining, but then he can like kind of predict the future, but also the past, and I'm like, he's someone in his mouth that talks to him. I'm frustrated. I don't know. And like that's where I ended with it because like I don't know.
I don't think we're gonna tell you who Tony is.
Well, I think like, do you want us to tell you, or do you want to wait until you?
I'll
read
read
the
the book.
Okay,
Okay.
then I'll let you wait.
Because I have this really cool image in my head of Tony being the same person that came to the character with pink hair from Grease about staying in high school. Beauty school dropout.
Hair. Her name is Frenchie.
Beauty school dropout.
I love that.
Oh my god.
Beauty school dropout. Come
Exactly.
back to high school.
That's why I envision Tony Bean is a.
I pictured him as what's the little green alien who shows up in the Flintstones?
Oh, I forget.
Yazoo.
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 Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's the right name. I just
I
know
love that,
exactly who you mean.
Yeah, I will say this: when I read the book, I missed who Tony was, and then Anna had to pull out her copy that she had and read the passage to me. It's like, oh yeah, I zoned out when I was listening to that
And
part.
that's why reading a book is better
Yeah.
than listening to it.
But the answer is fun, so definitely
Okay.
check out the book.
Okay.
And if you get it from the library, the covers are pretty
Cover's
cool
Wonderful.
because Jack Torrance looks exactly like Ned Flanders. Like I'm pretty sure Matt Groening was like, "Oh, hey, that's going to be
That's going to be
That's
the
gonna-
religious neighbor.
that's going to be Flanders, like Jack Torrance is Flanders." Oakley dokley.
Yeah, and Tony looks like the kid from The Omen. Like he looks like Damien.
Wait,
That's what he
Tony's-
looks like. Or not
Tony's a
Tony.
person then?
Danny. Sorry,
Danny. Yeah.
Oh, gotcha.
I got confused.
Okay. So I think we've covered a lot of this movie, except for one major thing that reading the book, I was like, how the hell does this play in it? Because not seeing the movie, I knew a lot about it going
Yeah.
into it.
Right.
So we need to talk about the end shot, the picture on the
Oh
wall.
yeah.
Yes, which that is one of the reasons why my belief of it just being haunted and like the real like more or less evil spirits are just trying to like bring people in with them is because of that last shot. And
Yeah.
to me, the fact that they talk about how the family before was murdered and like a murder suicide, and then all of the horrible things that have supposedly that they kind of shadow over that happened at the hotel. To me, that picture holds every single person that's ever died in that hotel on top of the people who were originally in that photo. To me, that's how I took it. That photo is kind of like the trophy room, or kind of like, that hotel's trophy wall.
Okay, so are you saying? I'm just trying to clarify. So you're saying when the Torrances showed up, that picture was there, but Jack wasn't in it. But when he
Yes.
died, he shows up in the
Yeah,
picture.
that was
Yes.
always my interpretation
Okay.
of it.
Yeah, the picture's there. He walks by it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He walks by it, and in the beginning part of the movie, he walks by it, and they show it in the background.
Hmm.
So I mean, it's there, and he's not on it yet. But every single person that's
Now,
ever,
can you actually see that he's not on it yet? Or
you can't see that he's not on it. But my belief is that he's not on it to
Okay.
begin with.
okay.
To add to that,
see, I
my
didn't take the-
interpretation was
Yeah,
always
go
that he
for it.
wasn't on it, and where he is where Grady was.
Oh.
That when he, you know what I mean, the guy that last killed his family,
Mhm.
like I always thought he was the one
Yeah.
that was where Jack is in it, and then when Jack kills everybody, he ends up in that position because he's the caretaker now. And then when the next person does it, they'll be the caretaker now, and then they'll like move to fill out the rest of the thing. That
Right,
was
because
my-
was Grady even in that shot?
I honestly don't know.
I
'Cause
don't
I was
know.
looking for him, and I don't think I saw him.
Yeah, I don't think he was. Devin, what were you gonna
Yeah,
say?
sorry.
I didn't take the picture literally. I thought it was more like I thought along the same lines as you guys, where it meant that he is now a part of the hotel. Like, if it was a ghost story, it means that his ghost is now a part of the hotel and that he's permanently there. But I even took it more like mentally, it's just showing that like he's now a part of the awful history of this hotel. And I didn't even take it like literally. I just thought it was more a symbol of he's now a part of the sordid history of this hotel. And that's all that the picture was. And it wasn't literally a picture on the wall, and if it was, it didn't include him.
At first, I was trying to think if maybe there was like a time vortex, and he's like, when he's back at the bar, like he's traveling back in time.
Oh.
But I tend to agree with the whole he shows up in the picture after the hotel gets him,
Mhm.
because it's the
Yeah.
hotel trying to get him in. So
And about the thing about it's like who actually gets on the wall. It's the way that I see it. It's only people that the hotel goes after, like individually.
Mm-hmm.
So like it went after Jack. Now, if Jack would have killed his wife and his son, they wouldn't have shown up in the picture.
Mm-mm.
Jack would have, because the hotel specifically went after him.
yeah,
So that's why that picture isn't like the side of the entire room.
Yeah.
It's only the people that the hotel goes after, the people that the hotel, makes them do what it wants them to do. And then they end up in the picture. But I also like the idea of like the latest person shows up in front, and then the next person takes its place, and then
Yeah.
Jack kind of like goes back and just gets shuffled. And then it's like the longer you're there, the more people that die, the further in the back
Yeah.
you get. I like that.
That's
idea.
what I always took it to be, but
So then I have a weird question.
Okay.
So in the beginning of the movie, he talks about how he feels like he's always been to this hotel, and he knows every corner before he even turns it, and he feels like he's been here before in a big way, and even claims to know the bartender's name before the bartender says anything. Do we think that those instances and him showing up in the picture from 1921 are related, or do we think that like they're just kind of horror movie tropes that they keep throwing in?
I think. Oh, go ahead.
You go.
I think it was that the hotel was putting all this in his head. Like he knew he was getting there because the hotel like took over his was getting into his mind and doing all that.
Sure.
But I know a lot of people online take that picture to mean, oh, he has been there before. He's been there the whole time. You've always been the caretaker, as whoever. What is it? Lloyd says that to him.
Oh yeah.
yeah.
Like whoever. Like some people take that literally. I always took it to be like, no, the hotel's got him now. Like stay with us forever and ever and ever. And then Jack says that later, and then he is there forever and ever and ever. He died. He tried to kill his family, and now he's in the picture as a visual.
Yeah.
He's here forever.
Right.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah, you can I definitely think the hotel is messing with his brain,
Yeah.
because when he has that dream and he wakes up like that was the worst nightmare I've ever had. Like I think
Right.
that's the hotel fucking with him.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Because I mean, it's I just like you two. I truly believe like he goes in there and he's walking around. I really feel that the fact that the hotel itself has The Shining, so it can see inside his head, and it can see, hey, he walks in through the doors, and the hotel is just like looking at random people as they're walking around, and then it sees him. It's like, we've got a live one here.
Yeah.
We've got a live one. And I feel like as he's walking around, because you can see like he's sitting there, he's kind of mopey, and then he's like looking around, walking, and he gets in a better mood, and he goes in the interview room, and he's actually, he's confident. And I think it's because the hotel is kind of like feeding that to him. Like he's feeling more comfortable the longer he's there, because I think the hotel is actually giving him, being like, hey, look, the lobby inside and out now. Like this is your space. So I almost kind of think it was like almost kind of like implanted in his head.
Yeah.
Like I really do.
That's interesting.
What do you think, Devin?
I don't know, because my mind just went to like really like it took it 8 steps farther. So my mind went, okay, so we're all talking about the hotel like it's another character in the movie, which I mean, honestly, I kind of think it is, just based on everything that we've been talking about. So then my mind went, okay, well, what's the hotel's character arc then? Where did the hotel start when the movie started, and in what ways did it or could it have grown throughout the movie or changed in its interpretation of things? Or is it just the antagonist? And literally it doesn't have any more motivation than when it started. That's literally what I'm struggling with, and I'm looking like this. Like, I'm just trying to figure out what my answer to that even is.
It's the antagonist. It's looking to feed off these souls and also look for power, I think, because I'm sure that it's getting energy from the people that shine.
Yeah.
It wants Jack.
Yeah.
So like when Danny calls for help, the hotel's not happy, and like increases its effort to corrupt him, to kill them. So.
And you think that's why he was foaming at the mouth then, was because the hotel was actively trying to stop him? Or do you think he was like foaming at the mouth because he was just trying to go from like to Colorado to Florida?
Yeah,
actually,
I think it was the effort.
I think he just has rabies. So, that would explain everything. He just goes rabid and tries to kill his family. That's a new take.
If you found a rabbit, lighting those boilers in the basement, you saw those tunnels. They're basically dirt. A rabid raccoon could have gotten down there.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Nope. It all makes sense now. I got it.
Yep. We solved it.
Bruises on the neck, rabbit attack.
Okay.
How did you think about the ending? Like the whole, like for the movie, like because so like the very, very last scene for me, not the very, very last scene, when you last see Jack, when he's frozen.
That was abrupt as hell.
Like,
this might be going back to the modern thing, but it's just like he falls over in the snow and then corpsicle.
Yeah, it was almost comical to me.
Yeah. Because that scene almost makes it to be like my least favorite part of this film. But there are just so many times in the film where there are just too many long shots, and that's what annoys me. But that very last scene, like it goes from like like epic scene, epic angle, epic, and then just college film.
Like one shot of him in the snow. I definitely found that jarring. And then to just go back into the hotel like that, like just to that pushing, I think it would have been better if you just showed, like you could change it up a bit and like show the sunrise through like the windows of the hotel, like the hotel in early morning, and do like different shots of the different rooms that you've been in, and just see like the aftermath of Halloran's body being there and everything that he's pushed off the desk, like his writing, his typewriter, like establishing shots of the hotel in the morning, and then maybe show him out the window and then show him, and then come back into the hotel and do the push in. I think there are a lot of different ways to go about doing that. And I just think that was oh shit, we're already over on time. We've got
we're over on time, over on budget, and our lead actress,
in the words of Uncle Joey, got to cut it out. So, okay. So I know you guys haven't read the book, The Shining. Do you know there's a sequel?
What?
Yes. I've mentioned it.
Yes.
Already.
Yeah. Dr. Sleep is a sequel to The Shining.
Oh, I thought that was like a whole other like.
No. It's about grown-up Danny Torrance.
And they're
What?
making a movie out of it.
And they're making a movie out of it.
And they've already cast.
Yeah, before we go into who's cast as adult Danny Torrance, I'm going to ask you, who do you think should play adult Danny Torrance?
Oh man.
Am I
have a
going
not
off
real
of?
answer.
Am I going off of what the kid looked like from the movie?
No,
Going off
familiar
of
whatever you want.
who do you think would play a good adult Danny? Based on, you can base it off of who the kid is, or who do you think would play a good grown up who's been fucked up by this whole ordeal?
Christian Slater.
Ooh.
Because Jack Nicholson's his dad,
Yeah.
so I mean,
Yeah.
it's logical.
That works.
And the age is about right.
Val Kilmer.
Val Kilmer. Oh.
Oh.
Actually, I could see that.
I can see that.
I could see that
If he
better
was,
than who they
yeah.
cast.
If I could see that if he
was acting still.
if he didn't have the health issues
Yeah.
he's
Yeah.
having.
No, but see the thing
All
is,
right.
okay, so, health issues. I think
Oh,
we
yeah.
went over this. I
God,
forgot.
Yeah, he had throat cancer and doesn't have a voice anymore.
Oh no.
I
Yeah.
thought maybe it was a different kind of health issue because depending on the health issue, it might actually help the character.
I don't think throat cancer is
No,
gonna
it's
help.
not. That's horrible. That's why I'm
Oh,
backtracking
boy.
from that whole idea.
Yeah.
No, if it was somebody like Robert Downey Jr., like that would work for the character, but
Yeah.
no.
Devin, who do you think?
I mean, if we're talking strictly on somebody who looks like they've been through some shit, adult Macaulay Culkin.
No, I'd be
No,
down with
no,
that.
no.
He's
Yeah.
a good actor.
No,
Yeah.
have you
he
seen
really
him
is, though.
recently?
I would so
He's too
be
young.
down with
recently
that.
saw.
He's not too
I
young, he just has
recently
a
saw a
baby face.
video of him on Ellen. I
Uh-huh.
had no idea.
Yeah.
Just
Really?
because the last time I saw a picture of him, he looked like he was about to fall over from a heroin overdose, like rail thin,
No,
long
he's
hair,
good now.
scrappy
He's good now.
beard.
He's good now.
And then I saw him on Ellen, and I was like, oh,
Yeah, he got his shit together.
yeah, he did. And I'm happy that he's finally being himself.
Oh yeah.
No, I think he is too young because if the book and the movie take place in, let's say, 1980,
Yeah, no,
then
he's too young.
he's too young.
Yeah.
But I don't
Oh.
know if they're quite doing that. And
Yeah.
if they're doing it the way the book is, it goes through his life.
Yeah.
Like he
So,
ages up.
I'm
and I
gonna-
think he's like
I'm going to tell you guys who they cast as adult Danny Torrance.
Who?
It's Hollywood's go-to actor for we need an older and or younger version of this character,
Who is that?
Mr. Ewan McGregor.
Really?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
he's
I'm not upset about
middle-aged.
that.
So it could be.
Yeah.
Like Macaulay Culkin's middle aged.
I just find it funny that that Ewan McGregor keeps getting cast as young Obi-Wan Kenobi or older Christopher Robin or older Jack Torrance. Like, it's
hate it.
Well, okay, to be honest, he is a decent actor.
he is a
Yeah.
great actor.
And
I love
he's
him.
right in that age where he can do stuff like that.
I just don't see it. Having read the book, I'm like, I mean, I'll watch it, but
You never
Yeah.
know. He may pull one. He might do well.
I don't know what
he
this.
might.
I see. The problem is I don't know what this
Unless
movie's
he
going to
makes it a
be.
musical.
I haven't read Doctor Sleep yet, but I don't know what this movie's going to be because it's taking influence from the book and the movie The Shining.
yeah.
Oh.
So, and the endings are completely different.
Well, maybe it's just standalone. Maybe it's just its own separate thing.
No, they're basing it off book and movie.
No,
Yeah.
no. I mean, they're basing it off the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
like they're taking
so
it
it
from
is
both.
officially a
Definitive
sequel.
ending?
I mean, it's a sequel.
Yeah.
It's an official sequel, and they're doing it. But yeah, like they're making it. I think because you can't do it and be like, we're going to base this off the book that nobody's read and everybody's seen the iconic movie, and it's not going to have anything to do with the iconic movie because that's its own thing. Like they're taking
Right.
from both because
Yeah.
otherwise people aren't going to go because people would be so.
I mean, I could maybe
confused.
see them doing a thing where maybe the book is what really happened and the movie was actually a movie in the universe. Like somebody took the story and made it a movie and
I'd be okay with that.
but yeah, the
I want
book
them-
the book and movie endings are completely different.
Well, Devin, you know,
I know what. The book and well, I don't know the book ending.
you've seen the miniseries.
Well, hold on. Does the miniseries end the way the book does?
It should.
Yeah.
The miniseries ended with him at his high school graduation, and Star Wars Ghost version of his dad shows up and applauds him
Oh,
at his
no.
high
No,
school
Not-
but I am totally ending this podcast now and going to watch that.
Yeah, that's what it ends.
No, I meant the way the
Sorry, I
hotel
missed
ends, Devin.
I
The way
missed
the
that.
hotel ends.
That's the end of the miniseries?
I missed
Holy
that. What?
shit.
Dumb. Yeah.
Oh, well, I'm pulling it up on my phone right now.
I missed it. What, Devon? What'd you say?
It was so the end of the movie or the end of the miniseries, if I remember right, is like is Danny's high school graduation, and Ghost Dad is there applauding his son at high school graduation, like Star Wars Ghost-esque.
Oh man.
No, I mean like how the hotel ended in the miniseries is very different.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I didn't know about the Ghost Dad thing.
I have it up on my phone right now. Part 3 of The Shining. Oh, stupid commercials. I'll find it later.
Yeah, we're watching that.
Yeah.
Before we go to bed.
Yeah, so that'll be interesting to see what happens. But Castle Rock had some fun Shining tie-ins as well.
Does it?
In the first episode, you meet this blonde woman who reveals herself to be named Jackie Torrance.
Yeah, that's what Castle Rock is. It's just them being like, Stephen King's hot right now, so we're just going to make shitty references to all his works.
To be fair, no, you didn't. You watched the first episode. I watched the whole series.
Oh.
Did
it
you?
good?
What? No. I enjoyed it. The Jackie Torrance at first was like, that's weird. And then they reveal her to be Jack's niece, and she's just using Jackie Torrance as her alias. Because she's a writer too. Sure. So the spoilers for the end of Castle Rock for anyone who hasn't seen it, you might want to fast forward like 30 seconds. She ends the series, like the last shot of the show is her finishing her book called The Overlook, and she's like, I don't know about this ending. I might have to go to where this is inspired off of to finish this. So season 2 might be at The Overlook.
That might be interesting.
Which, if they're basing it off the book, I don't know how they do that because kaboom is kind of how the book ends. So unless it's rebuilt. So.
Sorry, Ryan.
It's okay. Actually, I think I knew that it exploded.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I guess if it's built on an ancient Indian burial ground, you can always rebuild it. Why not? Right. Yeah. I enjoyed Castle Rock. I highly recommend it. Not just for the Stephen King references, but just for the story itself. I really like the second to last episode of that show. If you watch the whole thing, was phenomenal. And I think Devon, being the J.J. Abrams fan, I think you are. I think you'd enjoy it because it's Bad Robot.
Okay, so speaking of J.J. Abrams.
Okay.
Speaking of J.J. In our chat forum thing that we have for the podcast, Devon, I think you put holy lens flares.
I did, yeah. At the beginning.
Okay, so which scenes? Because I think I know what you're talking about, but what scene, which lens flare, hit you to where you were holy lens flare?
Honestly, it was the beginning scene with them driving, and they kept shooting idealistic shots of mountain. They kept catching just too much sun in the lens, and it was just we're gonna keep it. But I was like, pre-Michael Bay lens flare. This is nice.
It's not Michael Bay though. It's J.J. Abrams is known for the lens flare.
That's right.
Michael Bay is known for blowing shit up and having cheesy lines like "Welcome to the Rock,"
which is an awesome movie, by the way.
Yes. Have you seen The Rock?
Seen it.
No. Oh my God!
We're gonna add it. Finally, we have a reason.
Yes,
to
we have a reason
to
to watch The Rock.
Yes,
this is why we added Devon to the show.
And the fact that he lives where he lives.
Yeah,
even better.
So I think that's all we've got on The Shining.
Yeah.
Any final thoughts?
If you haven't seen it, watch it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I mean it's definitely a good movie.
I think Devon and I were both outliers in the Shining, not having seen it. It's weird that we've done two of the top movies of all time back to back, but we're trying to get those viewers, listeners. We're trying to get those ministers. Trying to get those ministers. Trying to get those listeners up. So
yeah,
if you enjoy the show, go.
What's up?
No, go ahead.
I said for me, The Shining is always one of those movies where I knew the beats. I knew kid riding bike down the hall was gonna run into two little girls. I knew that creepy gross lady was gonna be in bathtub. I knew he was gonna try to kill family with an axe and probably they were gonna escape. So for the longest time I felt I don't need to watch this movie. But it was way more than just those beats, and I was really impressed with what I saw.
Yeah,
more than I thought I was going to be.
Well, how much of that did you just know from seeing Ready Player One?
Oh God, like the elevator scene. I mean, most of it, like they spoiled a lot of the movie, but like also so does The Simpsons, also so does Family Guy. Like everything like spoils parts of this.
Okay, so real quick, since you touched on The Simpsons, I don't have to do it so much for this one, but after we talked about The Godfather last week, I went on YouTube and Googled The Simpsons Godfather references, just because I know they made a bunch that I've never seen before. And I was right. There was like a 6-minute video of just different references to the Godfather that they made on The Simpsons. Like one is Marge just beating somebody up, like the brother did, like Sonny did, like with the trash can lid and everything. And they did a whole reference to the ending with Lisa and Fat Tony's son. It was fantastic. So I'm probably going to do that again. I'm going to go back and just watch that Treehouse of Horror where they do the shinning.
Oh yes.
They don't want to get sued.
I love that.
Anything else, Ryan?
Not really. I mean, everything that we kind of covered. I mean, the movie itself is great to watch, and one of the best things about it is kind of what we've been doing here. Like, there's so many ways you can go about of like, did he go nuts? Was it haunted? You know, like how much does the how much does the Native American thing play into it? How much does, the kid's psychic ability falls into it? One of the things that I always kind of thought about, though, was, all this stuff happens during the winter. Why doesn't any of this stuff, happen during the summer? And one of the things, like, mentally that I just play it off so I don't have a giant, like, plot hole I fall into is that the chef is strong enough to keep the hotel under control when all the guests are there.
I would read the book.
Okay. Well, I mean, the book definitely probably explains all of that, but I mean, for the movie, that's what I've always thought, that like the chef was able to like keep it under control during the summer, and then during the winter, like all these things happen because he's not there. But then again, he doesn't care because for him, it's like a break.
Yeah. Anything else?
I would just like to recommend to Devon to read the book as well, or at least give Stephen King another shot, because he's not writing horrors, he's writing tragedies. And so if you go into them not expecting to be scared the whole time and expecting character development and story, that's where he's good. That's why The Green Mile's good. That's why Rita Hayworth in The Shawshank Redemption's good.
Yeah, I would definitely...
That's what he's doing.
I definitely agree on The Shining. It's definitely not a horror book. It's more of a...
like a tragedy kind of book.
Yeah.
Well, that's it. Yeah, because I mean, this is my view of Stephen King. To digress for a second, is in my mind, because I've seen like the early '90s TV show version of it, the one that I think you guys said you did, and basically my view of it is him going, "Oh yeah, are clowns scary? What if the clown's a spider now?" And like that just kind of sounds so hacky to me. Like I don't know. I think that's why I don't think I love Stephen King. Is like that kind of stuff.
The spider thing for the made for TV was because they kind of ran out of money.
Yeah, that was.
They ran out of money
made
at the end of that.
The writer, like the producers. And
so it's
stuff.
not in. Yeah. It's not in it, like the book.
No, not a spider. Like it's
really?
Not quite. It's not quite
it's
that.
A thing.
Have you seen the new It?
Not even a little bit.
Oh my God, that's.
Okay.
Devon, because I saw the '90s version, and I'm like, well, if it's gonna be that, I'm gonna hate this movie.
No,
so I didn't see it.
Dude, have you seen the cast for the second part they're doing?
No.
Okay, so the book.
He probably doesn't even know about the second part.
Okay, so you know how the miniseries is flashbacks to the kids, and then they're adults.
Yeah, and this one's just
back and
the
forth.
first one's only when they're kids, and the second one's only when they're adults, right?
Yeah. So the second one's when they're only adults. So the cast is Jessica Chastain, James McAvoy. And Bill Hader is playing the Finn Wolfhard character.
Bill Hader?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. So we're definitely making you watch it at some point. Not now.
Yeah, no.
We've got through the end of the year mapped out.
Yeah.
Okay.
But that's going on the list.
Did you guys already talk about it though?
I think we did a little bit.
We did because it was coming out, and I don't think it was. You didn't see one of the two, and that's
so
that's
you
the
did
one
the original.
we did. So we did the original one. The fact, but I'm really upset with you, Devon, the fact that you didn't like the original, the Tim Curry It that much.
I loved the
That
Tooth
really
Fairy.
upsets me.
Beep beep, Georgie.
But I get where he's coming from with thinking that he's just
Well,
tacky
yeah.
and jumping onto scary
Yeah.
things.
Yeah.
Like, there's so much more. Like, a lot of that's just the movie adaptations, and he hates most movie adaptations. He liked The New It.
Right.
He liked The Shawshank Redemption. That's his favorite, and I think he liked The Green Mile, and pretty much everything else he's hated, including the things that he's done himself directing.
Oh.
Like, so
Oh, interesting.
books are different from movies.
Yeah.
In case.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Have you ever looked up anything about him though, Devon? Like, have you? Okay, I think you should.
Okay.
Because here's the thing: at the very least, if you don't like his writing style or if you don't like his books, I truly think you might like him as a person.
Yeah.
Sure. Well, I mean,
I
I
really
read
do.
the book Cell back when I was a youngin', and I really liked it. And then I picked up the book Lovely Bones and was like, this isn't scary, and I'm
Lovely
12.
Bones isn't
and put
by
the book
Stephen
away.
King.
Lovely Bones isn't Stephen
No,
King.
that's not.
No,
Stephen
no, no,
King.
no. It wasn't Lovely Bones. It was something with bones. It was another Stephen King book.
Bag of Bones?
What is it?
Was it maybe Bag of Bones?
I thought that was it. Yeah. Let me see. Let me see
His
the cover.
older stuff is where I'm happier with him. Everything after he got hit by the car, I don't think has been good. As good.
got
Except
hit
for
by a
Dr.
car?
Sleep was great, so I'm like,
Yeah.
oh my
He got
god,
too
he
close to
almost
death.
died.
Really?
Yeah.
Is that
Okay.
why like 3 of his movies are based on cars hitting people?
No, that was before.
Okay. 'cause
The,
there's, like,
the cars
Christine,
are trying to
and
get
then there's, like-
revenge.
Okay, well,
What's
okay, okay. So Devon, so
Yes.
do you know about like part of like the Stephen King lore where like most of his storylines take place in Maine?
Yes, I knew that, and it's like
Okay.
a
He
trophy
lives
thing.
in Maine. He's from Maine. That's one of the reasons why he bases almost all of his storylines from Maine. He's also, well, he used to be really big into biking. And in Maine is full of rural forest roads.
Sure.
And that's where he lived. He lived in that part of Maine where it's like the interior, not along the coastline. And he got hit by a car when he was on one of his rides.
Yeah.
And he almost died. Like,
Oh.
I think this was what, like late 90s?
It was like 1999. He
Yeah.
was writing his memoir as it happened. So the
Yeah.
last chapter of the memoir talks about the accident.
Oh
Yeah.
wow.
So, I mean, and I remember people talking about, like, oh my God, it's like, oh my God, Stephen King almost died. His books are going to be even harder to read now. And then
no.
closer to death than ever before.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, he's definitely like, I'd hate to be inside of his head. I
Yeah.
really would.
Definitely give him another shot.
you know what? I really should, because that's what everyone kind of tells me is. I mean, and I kind of formed my opinion of him when I was like 12 and hated most things that were popular, because that's what you
Yeah.
do when you're that age. So I probably just need to give him another shot.
And you need to go back and rewatch the TV It.
Yeah. We're going to make you watch until you love it.
I'll watch it.
No, here. Watch it and just watch it to be entertained.
Yeah,
Don't
enjoy it for what
expect
it is.
anything. Just watch it to be entertained. Because as a giant It fan, I'm going to tell you right now, it's a fun movie to watch,
Yeah.
but I really wouldn't give it any awards.
Okay.
But I love it.
I'd give it a gold star. Like
Well,
a
even a gold
sticker.
star.
I'd give it that, but
Yeah,
I wouldn't
yeah.
give it.
I'm not gonna, But still, I mean, it's just a
It's a fun time.
fun, entertaining movie.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's Tim Curry for crying out loud.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I feel like I should have like appreciated that more when I watched it. I'm gonna have to watch it again.
Yeah.
Watch it again.
I'll have homework. It'll be okay.
All right. So next week we are starting. Well, I guess our one and only holiday special. I'm making these guys watch a Christmas movie next week that I'm going to hold the name off. I'm going to hold the name until we release the episode. But I will say I am watching it on VHS tape because I feel that's the only way that you can watch this movie and appreciate it fully. So Anna knows what it is. So
She's
you should know what it is. We talked about this last week.
I know.
You forgot already.
Yeah, I
didn't you?
did.
So tune in next week.
think I know.
We've got exciting things coming up on the show. So make sure to like us on Facebook. Follow us on our new Instagram page. The link is on our Facebook. And make sure to leave a comment and rate our podcast on whatever podcast app you're listening to, because we're reading them and would love to talk to whoever's listening to this.
Yes, we
So,
will.
for You Have to Watch This podcast,
Absolutely.
I'm Alan.
And I'm Ryan.
And
Devin's frozen,
Devin.
and I'm Anna.
And thank you, Anna, for being here.
No.
We're a good time to end this because we're losing Devon, who's across the country.
Oh no!
So-
Am I frozen? No, on my way at least.
He's sounding.
It's in and out.
Yes, the answers are sounding.
Yeah.
Yes. Seeing weird faces.
And joining us from Los Angeles, California, is Max Headroom, everyone. All right. We'll see you next week. Bye.
Midnight were the stars and you. Midnight and a rendezvous. Your eyes held a message tender.